Have you ever been betrayed by someone so close that it left you questioning everything? The kind of betrayal that shakes you to your core and changes the way you see the world forever? That's exactly what happened to me when my husband and my best friend broke my trust in ways I never thought possible. But what I did next? It's something no one could have seen coming. This is a story about heartbreak, betrayal, and a revenge so perfect it changed all our lives. Stay with me as I reveal every shocking twist and turn, and how I found my own version of happiness in the end. Imagine discovering that the two people you trusted most, your husband and your best friend, were hiding a devastating secret. My best friend betrayed me in the worst way possible, and my husband? He was no better. But instead of confronting them, I stayed silent and came up with a plan. A plan so calculated, it would change all our lives forever. And let me tell you, the revenge I got? It was sweeter than I ever imagined. My name is Emma, and for years, I believed I was living a dream. A husband who held my hand through every challenge, and a best friend who was practically family. We celebrated holidays together, shared dinners, and even leaned on each other during tough times. Life seemed perfect, until I noticed the small things. My husband's sudden need to work late, the way my best friend's laughter lingered just a little too long when he was around. At first, I brushed it off. Who wants to believe the people you love most could betray you? But then, the truth hit me like a freight train. A message on his phone, a message that wasn't meant for me. Explicit, undeniable, and from her. My best friend, the woman I trusted with my secrets, my family, my life, was sleeping with my husband. The pain was like nothing I'd ever felt, but I didn't let them see it. Instead, I played the perfect wife, the clueless friend. When I told my husband I wanted a divorce, I made it sound simple. I feel suffocated, I said, hiding the firestorm of betrayal raging inside me. They thought they had fooled me, but they had no idea I was already planning my revenge. After the divorce, I did something that would shock anyone who knew the truth. I moved in with my best friend, the woman who had destroyed everything I had. She had no idea that I knew about her affair with my husband. She thought I was just heartbroken, vulnerable, and looking for a place to stay while I figured out my life. But I wasn't there to heal, I was there to make her pay for everything she had taken from me. She welcomed me into her home with open arms, acting like the perfect host, always making sure I was comfortable. She didn't know it, but every smile she gave me, every meal we shared, felt like a knife twisting in my gut. I watched her live her life, pretending everything was normal, pretending she wasn't the reason my world had come crashing down. I knew I couldn't confront her, not yet. I needed to be patient. I needed to make sure my revenge was perfect. Her husband, David, was a different story. He was quiet, reserved, and always polite. I'd known him for years, but after the affair, I started seeing him differently. He was no longer just my friend's husband, he was a man who had been betrayed by the woman he loved, just like I had. And I knew he was just as lost and frustrated as I was. One night, after dinner, I found him sitting alone in the living room, nursing a drink. His eyes were distant, almost sad. I walked in, casually, pretending I was just looking for something to drink, but I knew this was the moment I had been waiting for. We started talking, and at first, it was nothing special, small talk about work, life, the usual things. But as the conversation went on, I could feel the tension building between us. There was something unspoken, a connection that neither of us wanted to acknowledge. And then, as if he couldn't hold it in anymore, David looked at me and said something that completely caught me off guard. "She doesn't satisfy me," he confessed, his voice low and heavy with frustration. He wasn't talking about sex in a casual way. This was a man who had been starved for affection, for connection, for intimacy. He was broken, just like me. In that moment, everything clicked. She had been so focused on satisfying my ex-husband that she had neglected her own marriage. She had given him everything he needed while I was left to pick up the pieces of my shattered life. But now? Now it was my turn. I leaned in closer, my voice soft but deliberate. "Maybe you just haven't found the right woman to make you feel whole," I said, letting the words hang in the air. His eyes flickered, and I could see the desire there. He wasn't just hearing the words, he was feeling them. I could see the conflict in his eyes, but I didn't back down. I had a plan, and I wasn't about to let anything stop me. I knew exactly what he needed, what he craved. And it wasn't just revenge, it was about taking back control, about showing him what he had been missing. Sometimes, a man needs someone who understands him, I continued, my hand lightly brushing against his. I could feel the heat radiating from him, and I knew that this was the moment everything would change. He didn't pull away. Instead, he leaned in, and I knew it was too late to turn back. I didn't say much, I didn't need to. He knew what I was offering. And without saying a word, he followed me to my room. The door closed behind us, and for a moment, there was nothing but silence. We didn't need to speak. The chemistry between us was undeniable. The way he touched me, the way he kissed me, it was everything I had been craving. It wasn't just physical, it was emotional. For the first time in months, I felt alive, powerful, in control. I wasn't just getting revenge on my best friend. I was reclaiming a part of myself I thought I had lost forever. It felt like a release, like all the pain, all the betrayal, was finally being washed away. With every touch, I was taking back the control she had stolen from me. She had betrayed me, but I was making sure she would feel the consequences of her actions. I wasn't just giving David what he needed, I was making sure she would never be able to take him back. That night, we didn't just share a conversation, we crossed a line that neither of us could come back from. I took him to my room, and we didn't just make love, we made a statement. It was my way of reclaiming the power she had stolen from me, my way of showing her that I could give him what she never could. The satisfaction of knowing I was giving him something she couldn't even recognize was almost too much to bear. I wasn't just getting revenge on her, I was getting back everything I had lost. And as I lay there with him, I couldn't help but smile. I knew this was just the beginning of my plan. She had no idea what was coming for her. After that night, things between David and I shifted. It wasn't just a physical connection, it was deeper, more intimate. I had given him what my best friend could never give him, and in return, I was getting something I hadn't realized I needed. It wasn't just about satisfying him physically, it was about making him feel wanted, desired, understood. It was about proving to both him and myself that I could be everything she wasn't. At first, it started small. A lingering touch as we passed each other in the hallway, a look that held a little too much meaning, a casual conversation that turned into something much more. We were careful at first, but as the days went by, the tension between us grew unbearable. I could see it in his eyes, he was craving something more, something he wasn't getting from his wife. And I was more than willing to give it to him. It wasn't just about revenge. It was about power, about taking control of a situation that had been out of my hands for far too long. Every time we were alone, I could feel the heat between us, and I knew that he was just as eager as I was to take things further. I wasn't just seducing him, I was showing him everything he had been missing. I was reminding him of what it felt like to be desired, to be treated with the attention and affection he had been starved of for so long. The affair continued for months, and each time we were together, it felt like a victory. We were careful, sneaking around, but the passion between us never dulled. It wasn't just about satisfying each other physically, it was about making a statement. Every time we crossed that line, it was a reminder that I had the power, that I could give him what she couldn't. And then, one day, I realized something I hadn't expected, I was pregnant. The news hit me like a shockwave. I was carrying his child, the child of the man she had betrayed. It was poetic in a way, a perfect twist of fate. She had stolen my life, my marriage, my happiness, but now I was carrying the ultimate symbol of my revenge. It was more than just a child, it was a reminder to her that her actions had consequences, and that she would never be able to erase what had happened. I wasn't just pregnant with his child, I was pregnant with the proof that I had one. I had taken everything from her, and now, I was going to make sure she would never forget it. She had no idea what was coming, and I was going to make sure she felt every bit of it. The moment David found out I was pregnant, everything changed. He was shocked at first, but as the truth settled in, his anger toward his wife began to build. She had betrayed him in the worst way possible, and now, he was faced with the reality that the woman he had trusted was the one who had caused all of this. It didn't take long for him to make his decision. He filed for divorce, and just like that, my former best friend's world began to unravel. The divorce was swift, and it wasn't just about ending a marriage, it was about ending a chapter in both of our lives. She had no idea what had been happening behind her back, and when the papers came through, she was blindsided. She tried to fight it, of course, but there was no denying the truth. David had made his choice, and I was the one he chose. We got married soon after. It felt like the ultimate victory, like I had finally won. We started a new life together, one filled with love, passion, and everything she had denied him. I gave him what she couldn't: emotional connection, physical satisfaction, and the sense of being truly wanted. And on top of that, I gave him 2 beautiful sons, something that seemed to complete the picture. It wasn't just about revenge anymore, it was about the life I had built, the life she could never take from me. Meanwhile, my former best friend was left to pick up the pieces of her broken life. She was alone, abandoned by the man she thought she would always have by her side. I watched her struggle, but I didn't feel sorry for her. She had made her choices, and now she was facing the consequences. It was a bitter pill to swallow, but she had no one to blame but herself. As for me, I had everything she couldn't give him: a loving relationship, 2 beautiful sons, and the satisfaction of knowing I had the last laugh. She had thought she could take everything from me, but in the end, I had taken it all back. I had given David what he needed, and I had built a life that was mine and mine alone. And that was the sweetest revenge of all. Looking back on everything that happened, I can't say I'm proud of the way I handled things, but I also can't say I regret it. My actions were driven by pain, betrayal, and a deep sense of loss. I had been deceived by the 2 people I trusted most, and in my mind, they deserved to feel the weight of their choices. But as time passed, I realized something. My revenge wasn't just about getting even, it was about reclaiming my worth. It was about proving to myself that I was more than just a victim of their lies. In the end, I found happiness, but not in the way I expected. It wasn't just about getting back at them, it was about rebuilding my life, finding love again, and knowing that I could stand on my own 2 feet. I gave David everything his wife couldn't, and in return, I found a sense of peace I hadn't felt in years. My revenge became the catalyst for my own transformation, and I came out stronger on the other side. But I can't help but wonder, what would you have done in my situation? Could you have forgiven them, or would you have sought revenge the way I did? I'd love to hear your thoughts. Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more captivating tales of love, betrayal, and redemption. See you in the next one.